Recently, I got to check out Zolocon, a toy and comic show that was held in Warminster, Pennsylvania, which is a little bit more than a 30-minute drive outside the city of Philadelphia. And was it any good? Did I find anything? Let me tell you all about it. The venue the show was held was this multi-purpose venue which was built near where there used to be an Air Force base. Inside the main convention hall there was some aeronautic items, including a human centrifuge capsule designed for training astronauts, exposing them to high levels of acceleration and extreme G-forces, which I thought was pretty darn cool. The venue just seemed a little bit small for such a convention, but it was still pretty neat. Most of the vendors there were toy vendors, which is something I normally do not follow, so it was kinda cool to see this world. It wasn't too much of a surprise to see what the most popular toys were. There was an abundance of vendors that had various superhero toys, Ninja Turtles, Star Wars, He-Man, some wrestling toys, and of course a very large selection of Funko Pops. Like any con, you'll find artists selling their own crafts, which is always pretty neat. This was no different. Also, I was pretty surprised to see that there weren't a lot of vendors selling comic books, especially since this was a show advertised as a toy and comic show. Comics were probably no more than 20% of what was there. Another thing there wasn't much of was video games, but there were a couple vendors that had some alright selections. A couple of the toy vendors also had games, but most of those were extremely common titles. The vendors who were only selling games were asking about retail for everything, which really wasn't much of a surprise at all for me. Having never walked around a show that was predominantly toys before, I really didn't know what to expect or anything like that, but I thought it was all really cool. Not being a toy collector, I have no idea about value, so I didn't know if there was any real good deals to be had or anything quite like that. But just looking at all this stuff and seeing stuff that I had when I was a kid, or things I wanted when I was younger that never got, and these are the thoughts which I'm sure are what gets the ball rolling. And when I'm talking ball, I'm talking like that big boulder in Indiana Jones that just gonna chase you right down into that rabbit hole, and maybe it's better that I kind of stay away from that sort of thing. My biggest complaint about the venue is that they probably could have had the lights turned up a little higher. You'd think that anything with collectibles, you'd want to be able to take a good look and see what you're buying, but there were a couple times I had to use the light on my phone while I was picking through bins of action figures. Being such a small venue, you were able to walk around and see pretty much every table in about a half an hour or so if you just wanted to skim over everything. But I could easily see someone spending about half a day there if they really wanted to scour over everything. Me, I was pretty much through everything and saw what I wanted to in a little less than 3 hours. Sum it all up, it was pretty cool. I'm not into toys or toy collecting, don't really know that much about it, but it was neat to check out for a couple hours. Would I go and do it again? I don't know, probably not by myself, but still, it was fun for what it was. Before I go, instead of holding these off to the pickups video, I figured I would show you what I bought at the convention right now. And I'm going to kick that off with Popeye. This is the ColecoVision version. It was in a bin full of 2600 games, and I did not realize this was the ColecoVision version until I got it home. Oops. Now that I don't have a ColecoVision, so I might still be able to check it out. Next up, I've got Gopher for the 2600. That's one of them US games cards. I'm, getting a lot of those. Next up, me and the Capcom kick I've been on. I got X-Men, Mutant Apocalypse, and last but definitely not least, completed another little subset on the NES, and I've got Mega Man 5. Yes, it was retail, but you know what? This is the first time I ever saw it that wasn't behind a glass case, so not complaining one bit. And this was I won it, so you know how that gets. Also, I spent about 50 bucks on some real Ghostbusters toys for a friend of mine who said they will reimburse me, which I'm not too concerned about because it was kind of fun looking through that stuff anyway. And again, knowing just enough to be dangerous when it comes to toys, I think I did okay with this. Hopefully this won't be the last convention that I attend this year. there are a few locally that I do want to try to hit up this year, as I didn't get to go to any last year. So hopefully this year I can make up for that and then some. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.